Have you ever realized how exhausted you are? Tired of striving, of pushing, of constantly battling against time, expectations, other people, and even yourself? Maybe you don't always notice it, but there's a quiet exhaustion that comes from endlessly trying to control life. You constantly pressure yourself to be more efficient, stronger, more optimistic, more consistent. You force yourself to make choices, to maintain connections, to stick to routines that have lost their meaning. And the more you struggle, the more everything seems to slip away, like water, like sand, like life itself. This is where an ancient principle comes into play, Wu Wei, a Taoism concept that Alan Watts described as action without force. But don't confuse it with laziness or weakness. Wu Wei is actually one of the highest forms of wisdom and bravery. It is the ability to act in harmony with the natural rhythm of life, moving with it, not fighting against it. Picture a dancer who doesn't resist the music but flows with it, or a surfer who doesn't conquer the sea but rides with the wave. Now, ask yourself, how often do you try to force what isn't ready? How many times do you blame yourself for failing to control what is, by nature, uncontrollable? How many choices have you made out of fear? Fear of losing, fear of appearing weak, fear of not doing enough? The truth is, we have been conditioned from a young age to live against life's current. We were taught that success demands relentless effort, persistence, and struggle, even when every part of us cries out to stop. As a result, we become anxious, disconnected adults, detached from our true selves because no one taught us the art of letting go, observing, and trusting. Wu Wei isn't about doing nothing. It's about acting with awareness, with gentleness, respecting the timing of life. It's about ceasing to be the exhausted rower fighting upstream and becoming the wise sailor who adjusts the sails and rides with the wind. Alan Watts said that when you stop forcing life, something extraordinary happens, the right doors open, the right paths reveal themselves, and the right answers surface. Not because you forced them, but because you created space for them to appear. Maybe you are listening to this now because you're already tired. Maybe you've realized that force doesn't work. Deep inside, you know it's time for another way. A quieter, more authentic way of living. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why Wu Wei isn't just a beautiful idea, it's a practical key, a new lens through which life can offer you what you've been chasing by trying to control everything. Peace. Not a superficial peace made of self-help slogans, but a deep, genuine peace, the kind that comes from aligning with reality, with your true self, and with what life has been gently whispering to you all along. So I'll breathe. Let your shoulders relax. Be fully here, because now the journey begins. To truly understand the heart of Wu Wei, we must go beyond beautiful words. We must explore the ancient roots of Taoism and Zen. And I invite you, let go, just for a moment, of the idea that philosophy is only something to think about. Tao and Zen are not mental theories, they are living realities, felt with your body, your soul, your life force itself. The Tao, a word meaning way or path, is not a set of instructions. It's the unseen current that moves everything, trees growing, seasons changing, births and deaths, happiness and sorrow, all unfolding through an invisible intelligence greater than human understanding. Lao Tzu, the Taoist sage who first spoke of the Tao, said, "The Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao." Why? Because whenever we try to trap life in words, life has already moved on. The Tao is like the wind. You can feel it, you can ride its currents, but you can never catch or define it. Asterisk trying to put it into a box misses the point. Zen emerged from the same deep realization. When Buddhism met Taoism in ancient China, it created an even more profound tradition, Zen. Zen doesn't aim to explain reality. It seeks to tear down everything that blocks you from truly experiencing it. In Zen, there are no doctrines to memorize, no beliefs to adopt, only the practice of being fully present, here and now, with each breath, each step, each movement. Taoism and Zen both quietly yet firmly reveal a hard truth to the human ego: you are not in control, and you never were. The effort to control life only creates more distance from it. What these traditions offer is not an escape, but a return to the natural trust you once had as a child, when you knew how to play without fear, fall without shame, and try without being obsessed with success. But here's where many people get lost. These ancient teachings can seem distant and hard to grasp for the Western mind, trained by logic, reason, and a relentless pursuit of results. And this is where a crucial figure steps in, a man who built a bridge between two worlds, Alan Watts. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore who Alan Watts was and how he made these invisible, ancient wisdoms accessible to us, showing that Tao and Zen aren't exotic luxuries, but vital necessities for anyone who wants to live fully in today's fragmented world. Get ready to meet the man who opened the gates of the East to the West, and who might open a new door within you. If this message is resonating with you, click the subscribe button and join the community. Thank you for your support. Now imagine a time when words like Tao, Zen, Wu Wei, and meditation were seen as strange and irrelevant by the West, distant ideas from foreign cultures with no real value in modern life. It was into this setting that Alan Watts stepped, not as a cold academic and not as a missionary for Eastern ideas, but as a true magician of thought. Someone who could translate not just the words, but the living spirit of these traditions for a world that, lost in its own busyness and rationality, was already spiritually starving without realizing it. Alan Watts wasn't trapped in theories. He was a bold thinker, a relentless challenger of Western assumptions. He realized that the biggest barrier to understanding Tao and Zen wasn't cultural, it was fear. The fear that our rational mind has of losing control, the fear of surrendering the illusion of mastering life. Watts didn't try to convert anyone. His goal was freedom from heavy dogmas, from the tyranny of constant goals, from the endless chase for results. His mission was to show that the peace, fulfillment, and meaning we crave aren't found through dominating life, but by bravely letting life be what it is. He spoke with a rare lightness, not with the heavy authority of an expert, but with the gentle ease of someone speaking from experience. He didn't give us ready-made answers. He broke apart the questions themselves, stripped away the illusions, and led the mind to stumble, so that in the silence that followed, something real could finally be felt. Watts understood that Tao and Zen couldn't be explained by reason, so he told stories. He used vivid, simple metaphors like rivers flowing freely or sailors navigating by the wind to bring to life the wisdom cultivated over centuries in Eastern cultures. Watts said that life is like music. The goal isn't to reach the end of the song as quickly as possible. It's to dance with the music, to feel each note, each beat without rushing, without anxiety. And that's exactly what we forget. Life isn't a race, it's a dance. And Wu Wei, the art of not forcing, is the melody that has always been playing, even if many of us have never learned how to listen. Alan Watts challenged an entire generation to rethink what it means to truly live. He knew that as long as we kept trying to win at life, we would always end up losing it. His voice still resonates today because he wasn't just speaking about ancient traditions. Asterisk philosophies aside, Watts spoke to the invisible wounds we all carry, the loneliness of modern life, the anxiety that gnaws at us, the disconnection from the present moment. But he also knew that simply knowing isn't enough. Understanding the idea of Wu Wei is useless if, in practice, you keep struggling against the current. And that's exactly what we'll dive into next: how Alan Watts's river metaphor, so central to his thinking, exposes both the cause of our suffering and the way to real freedom. Get ready to see your life in a completely new way. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a river. Vast, powerful, ancient, carrying along rocks, leaves, logs, fish, and soil. Now, imagine someone trapped in that river, desperately trying to swim upstream. Every movement is a battle. Every attempt to advance is crushed. Their body tires, muscles stiffen, the mind panics, and the harder they fight, the further they drift from peace. This, Watts said, is human suffering. The river isn't just a pretty metaphor. It's a raw, honest truth. Most of the pain we experience isn't caused by life itself, but by our resistance to it. You lose a job, a relationship ends, a plan falls apart. Instead of accepting and flowing with life, you cling to what's already gone, grasping at it like trying to hold water in your hands. Watts taught that life, just like the river, moves with its own wisdom, its own timing. You don't have to force it. You don't have to control it. You just have to learn to trust it. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning. It means acting with the current, not against it. Just like a surfer who reads the waves, not to overpower them, but to ride them. When you fight reality, you build tension in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. You end up living in a constant battle against life, against others, against yourself. The result: chronic anxiety, frustration, resentment, exhaustion, and the cruelest part, deep down, you know you're drowning, but the fear of letting go feels scarier than the pain of fighting. Yet, hidden inside the river metaphor is a quiet promise. There is another way. A way where you don't have to keep struggling. A way where, by surrendering control, you don't lose yourself, you find yourself. When you stop resisting, you discover something shocking. Life is not your enemy. Life is your ally. It's carrying you to places your mind could never have imagined. But to trust the river, you need courage, the courage to embrace the unknown, to give up the fake sense of safety that control promises. And this courage isn't just a spiritual idea. It's survival in a world that trains us from birth to fight, to compete, to dominate. And that leads us straight into the next part: how Western culture has built an invisible prison of endless effort and control, and how it's silently breaking us from the inside. Get ready to uncover the true root of your exhaustion and what must change if you ever want to truly live. Since childhood, you've been taught that everything worth having demands endless hard work, sacrifice, and control. You grew up hearing things like, "Don't quit," "Winners make it happen," "The world belongs to the strong." Maybe you haven't noticed, but these ideas have built an invisible prison inside you. A prison made of constant tension, ambition fueled by fear, anxiety disguised as determination. Alan Watts saw this trap clearly. He realized that the West's obsession with effort and control has created a culture of neurosis, a civilization where everyone runs faster and faster, chasing goals they can't even name, where doing matters more than being. We live in a world where any moment of stillness is viewed with doubt, as if doing nothing is a mistake or a weakness that must be fixed. Society glorifies excess, too much productivity, too much information, too many goals. Life turns into a never-ending project to manage, optimize, and maximize. And in this chaotic search for control, we drift farther away from who we truly are, becoming strangers to ourselves. Have you ever felt that? You're working, studying, and doing everything right, yet something feels off. Despite your efforts, there's an emptiness that's hard to shake. That emptiness is the disconnection from the natural flow of life, from what can't be forced but must simply be lived. The mind, conditioned to control, resists this truth. It fears the unknown, the unexpected, and seeks guarantees. So, we build routines, create rigid goals, and try to eliminate all uncertainty. But uncertainty is a fundamental part of life, and mystery is what makes being alive beautiful. By trying to remove the unknown, we also erase the magic, the surprise, and the true spontaneity that makes life worth living. Alan Watts once warned, the more we try to control life, the more we separate ourselves from it. It's like trying to trap the scent of a flower in a sealed jar. You may preserve its form, but you lose its essence. The result is an artificial, mechanical existence where everything, even our emotions, relationships, and dreams, must be managed like a factory. But there's a way out. There's a way to break free from these invisible chains and live more lightly without giving up responsibility, but by releasing the unnecessary weight of illusory control. In the next part, we'll explore how to apply the principle of Wu Wei in our modern lives, a world that demands speed yet secretly longs for presence. Get ready to discover that doing less doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. Acting with less effort can, paradoxically, take you further than you ever imagined. Talking about Wu Wei may sound poetic or enchanting, but how do you actually live it in a world that demands constant urgency? How do you move in harmony with the flow of life when you're bombarded with demands, goals, notifications, and endless expectations? That's the real question, and the answer isn't simple. It takes courage and, above all, a profound shift in perspective on what it truly means to act wisely and live well. Applying Wu Wei in today's world doesn't mean abandoning responsibilities or isolating yourself on a mountain. That's the mistake many make when they hear about non-effort, confusing it with apathy or laziness. Wu Wei is about acting, yes, but from a different place. It's about being aware, attentive, and in tune with what's real and possible in the present moment, rather than trying to force outcomes that are beyond your control. In practice, Wu Wei starts with humility, acknowledging that you don't control the universe. There are greater forces at work all around you, and your true power lies not in fighting against them, but in learning to listen, feel, and flow with them. It means slowing down no breathing, observing before reacting, and choosing not to act out of impulse or the fear of falling behind. Start to align your actions with what truly matters in life. Wu Wei is about choosing quality over quantity. It's about favoring depth over speed. It's realizing that sometimes the wisest thing you can do is to pause. It's the courage to say no to commitments, activities, or obligations that only serve to feed an ego longing for validation. It's learning to quiet the noise around you so you can finally hear the quiet voice inside, the one that has always been there, guiding you, but one you've never had the time or bravery to listen to. Wu Wei also shows itself in the ability to trust the natural cycles of life. There are moments of action and moments of waiting, times for growth and times for retreat. But our society, obsessed with constant progress, leads us to believe that stopping means failing. Alan Watts reminds us that even winter plays a crucial role in nature's cycle, and sometimes the best thing you can do is simply accept where you are instead of rushing to the next step. Living with Wu Wei in today's world is an act of conscious rebellion. It's swimming against the tide of collective anxiety, not to outshine others, but to not lose yourself. It's rejecting the scarcity mindset that tells you you're never enough, never have enough time, never accomplish enough, and instead reconnecting with the mindset of natural abundance, which says that just by being, you're already whole. But living this way requires constant awareness. The old patterns, the need to control, to rush, to overdo, will pull you back time and again. It will whisper that you're falling behind, that you need to do more, achieve more, prove more. In those moments, you'll face a true test to either continue resisting or to trust the flow of life. This choice, at its core, marks the beginning of a profound transformation. And it's exactly this transformation we'll discuss next, the moment when you finally stop forcing and your life begins to shift. Get ready to discover the quiet power of conscious surrender and the moment when, paradoxically, you find true freedom. There comes a moment in life when you must make a choice to keep pushing, struggling, swimming against the current until your body and soul are exhausted, or to finally let go. To realize that life isn't a battle to be won, but a mystery to be experienced. Alan Watts said that true transformation happens not when you force change, but when you stop resisting what is trying to emerge within you. When you stop forcing, you create a space for life to surprise you, for new opportunities to appear that you could never have planned. You create space to reconnect with your intuition, your body, and that silent flow of life that has always been guiding you, even when you felt lost. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want, whenever you want. It's being so aligned with life that your actions naturally follow the course of reality. It's acting without anxiety, creating without pressure, loving without fear. It's no longer being a frantic manager of your own life, but becoming a conscious participant in the endless dance of existence. But this, of course, requires practice. It demands awareness and the courage to face the old impulses that, in times of fear, will try to drag you back into the pointless struggle against reality. But now you know you have a choice. So, before you leave this video, I want to ask you to stop for a moment and think, what area of your life are you forcing the most right now? Where do you feel like you're swimming against the river? Struggling against something that maybe just needs to be accepted, understood, or allowed to flow? Comment below and share with me and with others on this journey where your greatest struggle lies today. Sometimes just acknowledging it is the first giant step toward freedom. And if this message has resonated with you, if something inside you has awoken, don't stop here. The next video is an essential continuation of this journey. It's not just more content, it's a crucial piece that will help you understand even more deeply how to live with awareness, lightness, and real presence. Keep watching because the transformation you seek has already begun and it deserves to be lived fully. See you there.